We're in historic Jackson Square, which was formerly known as the Place d'Armes under the French and Plaza d'Armes under the Spanish, both meaning place of weapons. It was changed to Jackson Square in the early 1850s. Well, located on Jackson Square is St. Louis Cathedral, which is pretty much ground zero for New Orleans, literally. When the city was founded back in 1718 by Jean-Baptiste Le Moyne, Sieur de Bienville, of course, he was accompanied by a missionary priest and settlers, and he actually asked the priest to put his cross in the ground where that church is located, and there's been a church on that location for over 3 centuries. The first church was built around 1720, and 2 years later it was blown down by a hurricane. And it was just a cypress hut, very primitive, because this area was all just a cypress swamp at the time. Well, they rebuilt that church and opened it up in 1727, I believe. And in 1788, we had a huge fire in the city. Almost 80% of the city burned down. It was actually Good Friday, 1788, March 21st to be exact. And the church had wrapped the bells in cloth because they weren't going to ring the bells on that solemn occasion. Well, as a consequence, like I said, almost 80% of the city burned down that evening. Well, they rebuilt that church and opened it up again around 1794. And in 1848, they were in the process of adding the central spire to the cathedral, and the whole thing collapsed except the facade, so they essentially had to rebuild it. And it dates back roughly to 1850, and it's the oldest continuously operating cathedral in the United States. And if you'll notice on the spires, the crosses on the spires have 2 hatches on the crosses. That's what is known as the Metropolitan Cross. And that signifies that the building, the cathedral, is the cathedra, which is the seat of the Archbishop of New Orleans. And it is about to undergo a 3-year renovation once fundraising is complete, because actually the front of the church that faces Jackson Square is actually sinking, because all of this, as I mentioned previously, it was all just a cypress swamp. So what this is built over is just decomposed swamp vegetation, and that is directly related to the subsidence that the city suffers. As a matter of fact, the experts estimate that we will lose 4 feet in 1 century, which averages out to be about 1/3 to 1/2 inch a year.